You know that feeling, right? You budget for something, think you know the cost, and then, wham, sticker shock.
Oh, yeah. Especially with travel stuff.
Exactly. And renting a car, particularly right when you land, bags and all, that can be a big one.
Mm-hmm.
So today we're doing a deep dive into a classic example, renting a car at Maui's Kahului Airport, OGG.
Right, OGG. It's a common point of frustration for people heading to Maui, that airport rental cost. It just feels, well, steep sometimes.
Totally. Which gets us to the main question for this deep dive.
Mm.
Why does renting that car at the airport in Maui often cost so much more than getting the same car, like, just down the road?
It seems illogical on the surface.
It does. So we've dug into some info specifically about Maui car rental airport fees, and we found a really eye-opening cost comparison.
Okay.
Our mission basically is to break down these costs for you, see where the money's actually going, and hopefully give you some ideas on how you, the savvy traveler, might save some cash.
Sounds good. Because we all know that feeling, seeing those taxes and fees get tacked onto the bill. Rental cars are definitely known for that.
For sure. And it's easy to just assume, okay, it's Maui, maybe the taxes and fees are just sky high there.
Right, blame the government charges.
But interestingly, while taxes and fees are, a factor, the info we looked at suggests it's a bit more complicated than that in Maui. Apparently, the overall tax and fee load isn't wildly out of line compared to other big U.S. tourist spots.
Okay, so if it's not just super high taxes across the board, what else is going on?
Well, this is where a specific example really sheds some light. We've got this direct comparison. It's between two enterprise locations in Maui.
Okay.
One's right there at Kahului Airport, OGG, in the main rental center. The other is an off-airport enterprise, just about a mile away on Hana Highway.
Oh, wow, only a mile, so like a short Uber or Lyft right away.
Exactly. Probably pretty cheap, takes just a few minutes if it's not peak traffic.
Gotcha. So same company, same island, just slightly different locations?
Precisely. And we have the numbers for a one-week rental, starting Monday, January 29th, 2024. For the exact same car class, a compact, like a Nissan Versa.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's hear the difference.
All right, so picking up that Nissan Versa for a week at the airport, the total cost came to $382.28.
Okay, $382. And what about the off-airport place, the one just a mile away?
Get this, $157.47.
Whoa. Wait, 157 compared to 382?
Yep. The difference is a massive $224.81.
That's more than double.
Yeah.
The airport rental costs more than twice the off-airport price for the same car, same dates, same company.
Insane. Right. So your first thought might be, okay, those airport taxes must be absolutely killer.
Yeah, that has to be it, you'd think.
But let's actually break down the receipts line by line and see what's really making up that difference.
Okay, let's do it. Where do we start? The base rate.
Yeah, let's start there. The fundamental charge for the car itself, before anything else gets added. At the airport location, the base rate was $252.94 for the week.
Okay, $252.94.
Now, at the off-airport location, only $102.45.
Wow. Okay, so right there, before any fees or taxes, you're looking at a $150 difference just in the base cost of renting the car.
Exactly. That's a huge chunk of the difference already. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Is there something specific about Maui's tourist market or maybe just the setup at OGG that lets them charge such a higher starting price?
That's a really good question. Maybe the sheer number of people landing there means they just can charge more, less immediate competition right at the terminal.
Could be. Now, okay, beyond that base rate, we start seeing those specific airport fees pop up. First one, concession recovery fee.
Ah, yes, the CRF.
It was 11.11%, which added $29.15 to the airport bill, and crucially, zero on the off-airport bill. What exactly is that fee recovering?
So the concession recovery fee, it's basically the cut that the airport authority takes from the rental company's revenue. Think of it as rent, or a percentage they pay for the privilege of operating right there on airport property.
Makes sense. If you're not on airport property.
Yeah, you don't pay that fee.
Exactly. Okay. Then there's another one, customer facility charge. This was $4.50 per day.
The CFC, another common airport rental fee.
Right. So for the week, that added up to $31.50 on the airport rental. And again, $0 at the off-airport location. What's this one funding?
The customer facility charge usually goes towards paying for, well, the customer facilities.
Yeah.
The rental car center building itself, the shuttle buses maybe, the roadways connecting everything at the airport. It's infrastructure costs tied directly to having those rental counters and cars right there.
Got it. paying for the convenience infrastructure. Okay, now here's something interesting. One fee was actually the same at both places.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
The rent tax surcharge. It was $6.50 per day, adding up to $45.50 for the week at both the airport and the off-airport spot.
Huh. Okay, so that one seems like a standard state or local thing applied regardless of the pickup location within the area. Consistency.
A little bit, but then we get another difference with the vehicle licensing fee.
Okay.
At the airport, it was $9.45 for the week. Off-airport, only $4.48.
Even that's different. Almost double at the airport.
Yeah, even for something that sounds pretty standard. And then, of course, the regular sales tax is the general excise tax, which is Hawaii's get, at 4.166%, and the Maui County tax at 0.546%.
Wait, the standard state and county taxes.
Those also ended up being different amounts. At the airport, they were $12.15 and $1.59, respectively. Off-airport, they were $4.45 and 59 cents.
And that difference has to be because they're percentage-based, right?
Yeah.
You're taxing a much higher base rate at the airport.
Exactly. 4.166% of $253 is more than 4.166% of $102. Makes perfect sense.
So when you add up all those taxes and fees, everything except the base rate, what's the total difference?
Okay, the total for all taxes and fees at the airport was $129.34. Off-airport, it was $55.02.
So that's a difference of what? About $74, $74.32 just in taxes and fees.
Yep, $74.32 more in taxes and fees at the airport. Over $10 a day extra just on that portion.
And looking back at those fees, the concession recovery fee, $29.15, and the customer facility charge, $31.50, those two alone make up $60.65 of that $74 difference.
Right. So those two specifically airport-related charges are the biggest drivers of the fee difference.
Definitely. The rest of that fee difference comes from the higher vehicle licensing fee and the fact that the percentage-based sales taxes are calculated on that much higher base rate.
But here's the real takeaway, I think. While those airport fees, the $74 extra, are significant, the single biggest reason the airport rental was $225 more expensive
Was the base rate.
That initial $150 difference before any taxes or fees were even applied.
It really points to that idea of a convenience premium or maybe an airport premium.
Yeah, they charge more just because they can. People landing are right there. It's easy. They might not shop around.
And maybe that limited space we talked about, fewer companies right there, means less pressure to compete on that base price.
It seems very likely. Now, just quickly, the sources we looked at also mention some trends in Maui car rental prices overall. Apparently, around late January 2024, when this snapshot was taken, rates had taken a bit of a nosedive.
Oh, interesting. Like a free fall tumble, I think one source said.
Yeah. And they also noted some fluctuations looking ahead towards Easter 2025, with prices maybe dropping off after the holiday peak.
It just shows how much these prices can swing based on season, demand, maybe even local events. It's always changing.
Absolutely. And just to reinforce the point about off-airport savings, even looking at the lowest advertised weekly rates from OGG around that same time, late January 2024.
From a site like rentalcars.com.
Yeah, exactly. The cheapest off-airport option they listed, even including a shuttle, was $156.26 for the week.
Okay, so very close to that enterprise off-airport price we saw.
Right. But the cheapest option listed inside the airport rent-a-car center was $253.59.
Still almost $100 more, even comparing the absolute cheapest advertised rates.
Exactly. The pattern holds. Off-airport is significantly cheaper.
So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. What are the main things you, the listener, should take away from this?
Well, I think the big message is pretty clear. Renting your car right at Maui's Kahului Airport definitely comes with a pretty hefty price premium.
Yeah, a significant one. And it's driven by two main things. First, those specific airport fees we broke down, the concession recovery and customer facility charges, are the big ones there.
Right. But second, and maybe even more importantly, it's driven by the rental companies just charging a much higher base rate for the car at their airport desks.
That convenience premium seems to be the largest single factor, really. They're capitalizing on the ease and immediacy for travelers arriving right then and there.
And the key for you is knowing this. Understanding why it costs more gives you options. You can make a conscious choice.
By being aware of this big difference, you can potentially save a lot of money on your next Maui trip if you're willing to look at those off-airport rental places.
That short shuttle or Uber ride could easily put, a couple $100 back in your vacation budget.
Which leaves you with a really interesting question to ponder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is grabbing that car the second you walk out a baggage claim worth potentially paying double the price? How much is that immediate convenience really worth to you?
That's a great question, and it makes you think, what other things do we pay a premium for just because they're convenient, maybe without even realizing the full cost?
Definitely something to chew on.
Yeah.
Critically thinking about the cost of convenience, not just in travel, but maybe in lots of parts of life.